Alright, 2.1 looks like it's going off with a bang. Phoebe is in part 1 and is a good free-to-play friendly character with Spectral Rover being her best teammate. Cool stuff. We've also got Brand coming in as potentially Changli's best in slot. This is really looking like a banger patch as far as the gacha is concerned. Uh-oh. Changli. Probably the one character everyone in the gacha community knows about whether you love or hate Wuwa. She's a fusion hybrid DPS that, in her current state, is better off as a main DPS despite her fusion and liberation deepen on her outro. When 1.1 came out, I ended up skipping Jinxie and saved up all my Asterite for Changli. Needless to say, I got her weapon, and made the idiotic decision to S1 her despite the fact that her S1 is borderline useless. I was still pretty early in the game though, so at the time, I figured I pulled an incredibly broken character as everything on the field was melting in front of me. But then I couldn't clear TOA to save my life until 1.4. Damn bro, sounds more like a skill issue. I clear TOA all the time with Changli with 0 issues. And you know what? Yeah, fair. Now take a bath, you reek of sweat. Nowadays, I can clear TOA with Changli. I have a much better knowledge on the game and have 2 TOA clears under my belt as of right now. That being said, I just recently got those Changli clears. I normally have my Zhang Liao and Yinlin team tackle the middle tower, with my Camellia team and Carlotta team tackling the other 2. Vice versa, depending on the tower's current buffs. Hell, I managed to pull Jinxie in the recent rerun, so that's another team I can build. Thing is, after clearing the middle towers with Changli, I came to understand the whole truth behind the character. She's not a bad character, just difficult to play and lacks any true team composition. And let's be honest, a lot of you, myself included, only pulled her simply because, well, she's hot. But Yinlin is way hotter, fight me. Changli focuses on resonance skill damage. Her resonance skill has 2 charges, with each charge having a 12-second cooldown. After using her skill, you gain True Sight. When you attack with True Sight on the ground, Changli charges forward towards the enemy with an attack dealing resonance skill damage. If you use it in the air, she does an aerial attack. That looks really badass, not gonna lie. Also dealing skill damage. When you connect to these attacks, you gain a stack of Enflammement, which is Changli's Forte Circlet. Gaining 4 stacks of Enflammement allows you to use her enhanced heavy attack, a massive AoE attack that deals quite a bit of resonance skill damage. Supposedly, quite a bit of damage. All of this right here is the main bulk of her damage, plus her liberation, which also does quite a bit of damage. Supposedly quite a bit, god damn it, but also gives her 4 stacks of Enflammement out the gate. The main goal of the rotation is to build up Enflammement, pop an enhanced heavy attack, hit the liberation, and pop one last heavy attack before switching out to the next character. The major issue with this is the fact that you can only pop her very quick resonance skill twice in a 24-second period. Since you only get 2 charges, that's only 2 stacks of Enflammement when she's on the field. That all being said, her intro skill immediately puts her in True Sight, meaning when you use her intro skill, another successful True Sight attack nets you another Enflammement stack. That leaves you with 3 stacks. Still not enough. So where in the hell are you supposed to get that last stack? Simple. Quick swapping. See, for the opener, you usually start with Changli, throw a resonance skill, then swap to the next character. Go through your rotation like normal, then when you get to Changli, you start her rotation with a stack already. Now see, that seems pretty simple, but here's where things start to get complicated. Once you switch back to your support, sometime during your main rotation, you're going to need to fit in another Changli quick swap in order to make sure Changli jumps in with 1 stack of Enflammement every time you put her on the field. This right here, difficult to memorize at first, but do it often, and eventually it becomes second nature, right? So what happens when eventually, even if you do this perfectly, you'll switch into Changli and come to find out that as you go to do your second resonance skill, it's still on cooldown because your rotation went way too quickly. So now you gotta use your basic attack combo to get that Enflammement stack, and the biggest rule of thumb is you should never use her basic combo. Now Changli mains, feel free to leave in the comments how I botched your rotation and how it's actually supposed to go, so I can kindly and calmly tell all of you that's fantastic, but this kit still isn't friendly to a casual audience. No matter how you play her, no matter your adjustments, no matter who you play her with at this current point in the game, it doesn't matter. her kit makes her quite difficult to play at an optimal level. When you have characters out right now that have a very simple rotation that simply requires hitting E twice, hold left mouse button, hit R, click 4 times. Hit E 2 times again. Hit Q, then swap to complete a single rotation and deal massive amounts of damage. Who do you think the casual player is going to gravitate towards? Especially when you don't have to worry about quick swapping this one. Right quick, before I get into the next point, I do want to point out, as of making this video, Wuthering Wastes is officially out. There's been plenty of time for people to figure things out, and one of the major things is Changli is actually really solid at Wuthering Wastes. TOA is a little hit or miss. You really have to be very sweaty in TOA. Wuthering Wastes, not as much. You still have to do a lot of quick swapping. I went in with a Zhang Liao Yinlin team and I got a pretty decent score. Matching up, of course, with my Camellia team, it worked out really well. Changli works well here because of all of the AoE she has in her kit. Her Resonant skill, her True Sight actually cleaves a little bit, her Enhanced Heavy Attack, of course, right, Wide Radius, and her Liberation, same thing. Especially when you team her up with another DPS, it seemed to work really well for me. I've noticed a few teams actually use her and Yang Yang, mainly because Yang Yang is really good at grouping people. Yinlin is also a solid option, though I've gotten better results with my Yao team. It really all depends, but Changli is very good for Wuthering Wastes, so if you've got a team for TOA, but you don't have a team for Wuthering Wastes, you might want to consider Changli for the second half of 2.1. Though while this is going to be a constant issue, the second issue is actually getting resolved with this patch. Okay, before I go into this, obviously, knowing what we know about Brant, it seems like Brant is going to be Changli's best in slot. So the problem is very hit or miss if you manage to pull Brant. However, if you only manage to get Changli this patch, or decide to skip them both because, obviously, then this point sticks. Unless you decide to pull Brant, Changli doesn't truly synergize well with any of the cast. Sure, you can have Zhang Liao and her as a dual DPS team, but if you've got Yinlin, why bother? The same can be said for Yinlin. I did it for the sake of this video and I almost hate myself. Zhezha could be a considerable option as well, as she focuses on resonant skill damage deepens, but she also does even better with Carlotta, who benefits from her entire outro deepen, or Jinxie, who just flat out feels better to play, you know, because she's the easy mode of the game. Most people try to pair her with Encore, which I can't say much about, as I don't have the character. Or team her up with Chija, which works, I guess? Thing is, Chija isn't exactly one of the best units in the game, considering Encore is a standard option that does more damage. Though from what I have seen, Encore would be a decent option. However, the main attack she uses for liberation damage is her Enhanced Heavy Attack, which you're going to want to swap during, as it can take a while to get out, and when you do that, the outro buff drops anyway. Honestly, Sanhua is currently her best partner, as she's easy to play and does buff a bulk of Encore's basic attack damage. There is also Sanhua's S6 buff, but honestly, that's good for pretty much every unit. So I mean, yeah, you can use her with these teams, but there's always going to be a much better, more viable, and occasionally even much easier option for all of these teams. Again, Brant is hopefully going to fix this issue for her. But at the end of the day, here's the bottom line. As I said, she can be difficult to play, but even with all of that, she does compete with the other characters better than any other expert level characters in the game currently. There's only 2. At a baseline level, she competes with T05 characters, while more seasoned players can get T0 results from this character. This can be said for both TOA and Wiwa, though she does a lot better in Wiwa. If you don't have her and you need someone for Wiwa, then she's absolutely worth it. Especially if you're looking for a solid character with a learning curve, instead of a mediocre character with an even harder learning curve. She's going to struggle a bit more in TOA, but Brant is going to help alleviate that problem. I hope. That all being said, where Changli is difficult to play, Brant is difficult to build, so do keep that in mind. Also, they're going to be on the same banner, so if you really want them both, you might need to spend a bit of money unless you've been holding on to those asteroids with a firm grip. Not only that, but Brant is absolutely going to want his weapon. Overture also gives ER, but that's really about it as far as sword weapons go. Plus, with Changli, we'll drop one of the best DPS swords in the game, Blazing Brilliance. Changli doesn't necessarily need this weapon, but your overall account will benefit from having it. Hopefully, this video at least gave you a little bit of insight on this character. In the end, pull for who you want to pull, play how you want to play, and try to avoid Changli mains as much as possible. They're an interesting breed. My name is Vogel, and I hope to see you guys later. Ciao.